Incoming transmission.
Picture this. A recording studio somewhere far, far away.
Welcome, Watchers of Illusion, to my Castle of Confusion on the 22nd of January. And I'm looking at the GBA, or the Game Boy Advance, to give it its full title. We're looking at Pokémon FireRed, which a couple of versions out on the GBA. FireRed, Leaf Green, Sapphire, and Ruby, I believe. This is the FireRed version, so we're going to have a look at this. It's just weird to think that this is retro, but it is. Really is. Promise you. Love these games actually when I was younger. I still do. I've actually got quite a collection of the current DS titles and 3DS titles now, which is great. They are good fun. By the way, if you've got FireRed and you've got Leaf Green and you've got two DSs, you can GBAs. You can link them together, and when you get your starter Pokemon, you can. On the other version, go and get your starter Pokemon, find a Pokemon Center, link together and trade off. So you can actually start with all three of the classic Pokemon if you want to. You've just got to trade. So it's best to go and get yourself a few Pokeballs and chuck them around and get yourself some bits to trade. Now we're going to put my name in there. Yes, my name is Rich, that's right. Well done. Now, this is always fun. Don't ever call your rival by a sensible name, because that's just boring. So we're going to give him a new name. What shall it be? T-U-R... No, it's not what you think it is. No, we're going with a family-friendly Turkey. I love the fact that Professor Oak doesn't know his own grandson's name. That's just weird. Anyway, our character looks very much like Ash from the Pokemon cartoon series, which is quite cool. And here we are in the game world. So it's an overhead view. Really, really cutesy actually, and this is based on the. This is sort of a remake of the original Fire Pokémon Red on the original Game Boy Color. So this I found to be a really nice update. To be fair, the colours are much more vibrant, and of course with the sound chip of the GBA as well, much nicer sound as well. Just letting all this sink in for a minute, really. It's great. So the character design is really nice. Obviously the inspiration from the cartoon series, which is still going today, believe it or not. And they've just released the first season of Pokemon on Blu-ray, which for all of you collectors out there might be of some interest. I just love the fact his name is Turkey. It's great. So you can talk to all of these NPCs around the world. They'll give you hints, tips, and sometimes items. So it's always worth having a chat to all of them. Obviously, Professor Oak not where he should be at the moment, so we're going to go and provoke him to make an appearance. And by doing that, you run up the top and try and run through the tall grass. You'll find out later on why you can't do that, by the way. But you can't go through the tall grass, so he will actually take you back to the Pokemon lab. And he looks really quite evil there, doesn't he? But yeah, Professor Oak is your guide throughout the world of Pokemon, which is great. And then we have the 3 Pokeballs you get to make a choice from. Each one will contain one of the starter Pokemon or classic Pokemon from the show. So you've got Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle. So you've got a choice of 3 there. One's a leaf type or plant type, water type, and fire type. Pikachu, I believe, can be found later on in the game, which is always nice. So you can actually have sort of the whole trio of classic Pokemon and your Pikachu as well. So that's quite cool. It's just like literally being in the cartoon. It's nice as well because when you go to choose your Pokemon, it actually tells you a little bit about them and gives you the choice whether you want to adopt them or not, which is great. You can even give your Pokemon nicknames, which some people do. Just bear in mind that if you do that and you trade, it does not revert to its original name. It will retain the nickname and you can't change it. So be careful. That's all I'm going to say, because you do find some people, even today, when you go to trade your Pokemon across the wireless, you find people with some very odd named Pokemon, you know, Magikarp called Steve, for example, is very mild. People do put very rude names sometimes, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't change it, so you've got to live with it. The same with your naming as well. So if you name yourself something stupid, you're going to have to stick with that all the way through the game. That's why I tend to use my name for the main character. And see, Rival Turkey would like to battle. Yes. So anyway, be careful what you name, because they are stuck with those names then after that. So be careful. So this is just basically an intro to the game. I mean, the game is so big that to actually go through it all would take chapters and chapters and chapters of videos. So I just want to give you sort of like an idea of what it's like. This is the battle system, which you'll be going out and doing for yourself with wild Pokemon, which you can then capture once you've got some Pokeballs to do that with. You get hints from Professor Oak during this as well. Realistically, this is sort of a training ground, gives you an idea of what you can do and what your Pokemon are capable of. You'll see there's a couple of blank power slots there. As your Pokemon grow in level, you'll get experience points for every combat that you do. Once they go up enough, they will learn a new skill. Now, if I remember rightly, Charmander's first skill is Ember, so that is his first sort of introduction to being a fire-type Pokemon, which you start with no fire ability whatsoever. So you basically got to scratch the crap out of Squirtle to be able to defeat him. Now, no Pokemon ever dies, they just basically get to the point where they're so exhausted they can't continue to fight and get recalled into their Pokeballs, or they just faint. So there we go. You cannot capture rival trainers' Pokemon either. You must only capture wild ones. If you try and capture another player's Pokemon, it'll just tell you can't. So there you go. It's very much a bit like Final Fantasy in the way that that it works. If you're running through long grass, you are basically picking fights with anything that will attack you. So random encounters. So if you stay out of the grass, you don't encounter any Pokemon. But if you run through the long grass, you've got a very high chance. And there's different Pokemon in different regions, so you've got a lot to collect. I think it's 100. I think it's 100 Pokemon in the first one, or is it 150? I know there's quite a lot of Pokemon to collect now. I think in these games, I think in this generation, I think there's like 400 and something Pokemon to collect. But back then, I think it was 100. Correct me if I'm wrong, by the way. But this is such an addictive game that for all of you guys out there that like sort of, I mean, Pokemon stands for Pocket Monsters, so we'll get that out of the way. We're going to run through the grass and get an encounter underway. So here we are with a Pidgey, and you can train your Charmander like this. So you scratch. He uses Tackle. Hopefully he doesn't use his Tackle, that'd be weird. You can see there that if I had a Pokeball, I probably could have caught him at this point. But I don't have any at the moment. So we're going to get the experience points from Wild Pidgey there. Got 23 experience. Experience is the blue bar underneath your character's name. As soon as that bar's full up, you will gain a level. So we're going to go to Viridian City now. A lot of these you will recognise from the Pokemon cartoon. Viridian City and Pallet Town obviously being two of the major locations of the show. You can't go up through those ledges, you can come down those ledges, as you'll get explained to by this little chap here. There we are. He's basically going to say it's scary, but you can jump down them. There's nothing scary about jumping down those ledges, you silly boy. Anyway, as you can see, it does put long grass in your way, so you purposely have to go through it. As you can see now, we've got a Rattata, and if you keep going through the long grass, you can find a variety of different Pokemon in the same sort of grassy areas. So we probably find a Pidgey in this area, got a Rattata in this area. So keep going through until you find the ones you want. If you don't want to fight, there is an option to run, so you don't have to battle everything that you see. There you go, critical hit, which is double damage. And he's fainted, so there you go. Again, Pokeball, we would have been able to do that. We're up to level 7 now. I think he might learn Ember now, actually. Hey, my memory's not that bad. Alright, so it's one of those games that will keep you coming back forever and ever. Your Pokemon will faint if they lose their battles. You go to one of these little places here, which is a Pokemon Center, and you speak to the woman, or it's Nurse Joy, I believe. You can go and talk to her and get your Pokemon back to full health again. And you can see there is 6 slots, so you can carry 6 at a time. Once you've got more than 6, then they get transferred to the PC, which is on the right hand side there by the counter. where you can chop and change the Pokemon that you're using, which is a really nice feature as well. So you can just keep filling that up and filling that up and filling that up. Now they did release the original Pokemon Red, Blue and Yellow on the recent DS's. So if you've got access to one of those, you can go back and play the original Game Boy versions of these, which is great. But this is a game that will keep you coming back again and again, because you want to fill your Pokédex up as much as you can. Now, talking to Pokédexes, you don't know what that is, or if you do, then you are a Pokemon fan. For those of you not Pokemon orientated, the Pokédex is basically like a giant dictionary of Pokemon, but the only way you can find out details of those is to catch them, and it will update the said Pokédex, and you have to fill it up that way. One of my crying shames about this, and this is a true story, I had Pokémon Red on my GB, and got all the Pokemon, plus Mew, and then a friend of mine came along and pressed new game, and basically, because there were no other saves apart from the one, I lost my entire Pokemon game, which sucked, I might add, but there you go. He didn't know, I don't blame him, but by God, that was a heartbreaking moment. You can see now I've got Ember, which has knocked him right down, so you can... I'm just going to fire him like that. Certain Pokemon types are stronger against others, so water's good against fire, and such. You'll figure all this out as you play. Certain types are stronger against others than others can be, so there you go. Quite a nice little thing there as well. So if you're up against an electric type, you don't want to be a water Pokemon because it's not good. You'll figure this out as you go along. Anyway, we're about to get our Pokédex, and then I'm hopefully going to catch a Pokemon just to show you that before we sign off. But graphically, it's really, really nice. The sound is really nice as well. Nice little ditties. There's a nice theme tune as you go through the game. Nothing seems to be intrusive, you know. You don't seem to think, oh god, shut that sound off. My only disappointment was always with these things was that the Pokemon don't have their genuine noises. It's all these weird sort of screeches and scratches. But I suppose at the end of the day, it's difficult to put so many voices, and I say that in quotations. Very difficult to do that and record them all and put them into a game. I mean, they're still doing it today, so at the end of the day, I think the only Pokemon that has a voice these days is Pikachu, and I think it's the only one. It would be nice to have a fully voiced Pokemon game in the future, but until that happens, it's nitpicking. But this game's going to score high because it's a joy to play, as is Leaf Green. To be fair, even the original Pokemon games are worth a play. That's what these are based on at the end of the day, so it's worth having a look at those. Fairly easy to get your hands on them these days. eBay's got a good selection of Pokemon games. Your local CEX or game, have a look in there as well and see if you can find any pre-owned ones. But this is a great little game and I loves it. So if you've got someone with Leaf Green, oh, but the difference is, by the way, with Leaf Green, FireRed, all the different versions is that they've all got exclusive Pokemon to them. So I think with FireRed you might have like a Nidoran, and then on the other one you'll have the female version. So you know, there are ones that you can trade, and it does promote trading. It's, you know, it's that's what the game's about at the end of the day. You've got to catch them all. So it's always worth catching 2 or 3 of the same Pokemon, so you can trade those off later on for the ones that you really need. Because you never know. The person who is trading with you might not have got a Rattata. Yeah, very, very slim chance of that, but oh well. But yeah, if you've never played a Pokemon game before, I do urge you to at least have a go. Might not be your cup of tea, but I think you will enjoy it. For those of you who are Pokemon crazy, you've probably already played these anyway, and probably played them to death. Now I'm going to try and catch this Pidgey rather than kill it, so you can actually see that. A nice little ditty that goes along with a caught Pokemon as well. So I don't want to kill him. So we're going to go... has he got enough? Let's go with the bag. Let's see if we can catch him. He's got quite a lot of hit points, but as they're only low-level ones, they don't generally sort of kick out. But what will happen if they're stronger? They'll kick out of the Pokeball, and you've lost the chance. Right, so it sucks them up there, and then it will wobble 3 times. And on the 3rd one, click, we've caught him. And there you go, guys. That's my review of Pokemon FireRed for the Game Boy Advance. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hello to new subscribers. Always great to have you along. And please click the little bell button so you can be notified of any future reviews. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back soon. Take care for now. Bye-bye!